Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Dynasty After Dark. I'm your host, Calvin Timms. Find me over on Twitter at TDC_Calvin. Co-host Dale at Dynasty_Dale. Dale, how we doing today?
Hey, I am doing pretty good tonight. It's a fantastic Wednesday, and I am excited to talk about some mock drafts that we did.
Yeah, so Dale's letting the cat out of the bag. Today we're going to be talking about a rookie Superflex draft that we just did, and this is for one of the leagues that we actually drafted for a couple of
Yes. Yep.
weeks ago, so now we have the results and we can kind of compare that to what we were doing back then, and I got to say this draft this is probably my favorite league, and it's just because of the people in the league and the activity and just it's a fun league, and I hope everybody out there listening has a league like this one because it's a good time, and
Agreed.
you can get some fun trades done, and there are some stubborn people, so it's a challenge, and yeah, it's definitely a fun league. So if you haven't yet, go check us out on YouTube at the Dynasty After Dark YouTube channel. You can find the podcast anywhere the podcasts are available: Spotify, Apple, Google. I don't really know all the podcast places anymore. I just kind of listen to Spotify, so the
Right.
easy go-to place for everything, it feels like. But podcast is available everywhere. And if you can, while you're over there checking it out, please leave a subscription, comment, review, whatever, just to help us with the algorithm. I'm trying to grow all off season long for you guys to get more content out for you guys. And we are smack dab in the middle of the off season. It feels like there's no news whatsoever. It's all manufactured stuff now, which is always a good time. So
Yeah.
training camp hype, and doesn't even matter. Guys running against air doesn't even do anything. So all right, so if you are watching on YouTube, I do have the draft board, the full 5-round draft board up on the screen now, so you can see it here. And we're going to go through it, and we're going to give our thoughts round by round and pick by pick here, and just kind of talk through some of the picks that we thought were egregious, some of them that we thought were, you shouldn't have done them, or great values, and everything we think about this rookie draft. So, Dale, how do you want to kick it off here?
So let's just kick it off with we can just go pick by pick
All right.
if you want, or just group it by team, and then we could kind of look how they did.
Sure. We can we'll go pick by pick, and then maybe at the end we'll kind of recap team by team.
Yeah.
Just talk
Yeah.
about it as a holistic strategy and how you guys can kind of be a little wary of that. And that's where mock drafting is a huge, we were doing mock drafts all off season before the
Yep.
draft, and this is kind of why. So you kind of know where some of these players are going to fall in your drafts, and you can prepare for that. And of course, it's hard when you don't know landing spots and everything like that, but the names haven't changed that much, right? So pick number 1,
Agreed.
Bijan Robinson with the Atlanta Falcons. Number 2, Anthony Richardson with the Colts. Bryce Young at number 3, quarterback with the Panthers. CJ Stroud, quarterback with the Houston Texans at 4. Number 5 was Jahmyr Gibbs, running back to Detroit. Number 6, JSN, Jackson Smith-Njigba, first wide receiver off the board. And then there was the run, just like in the actual NFL
Yep.
draft. Actually, it's the exact same order, too, which is hilarious. I just noticed that now. So Jackson Smith.
It's actually not the same order because they had Addison and Flowers, but that's beside the point. I'm just being
Flowers went
technical.
before Addison? Really? I did not realize that. I thought Addison went
I'm pretty
first.
sure.
Wow. The fact that Flowers went ahead of Addison, I did not remember that. But yeah, Quentin Johnson with the wide receiver with the Chargers, Jordan Addison with the Minnesota Vikings, and then Zay Flowers with the Baltimore Ravens. This is a Superflex tight end premium, 2-point tight end premium. So tight ends are a little bit more valuable here than your
Yep.
standard tight end premium. So there's a little bit more of a premium on those guys. And Dalton Kincaid was the 110. Michael Mayer was the 111. Zach Charbonnet finished off the first round at 112. Now, my initial thoughts are the top 10 is pretty much chalk at this point. Like
Yes.
the only thing I've seen
100.
switched is kind of the 4 through 6. I've seen JSN go 4, Gibbs go 4, Stroud go 4. I've seen all
Yep.
those guys go 6. So other than that, it's pretty much universally Bijan Robinson number 1, Anthony Richardson number 2, Bryce Young number 3. Now, what are your thoughts on the first round here? And were some of the egregious reaches in your opinion, if there were any?
Well, I would say everything was pretty well chalk from what I've seen.
Okay.
I mean, the only thing, I do prefer wide receivers in rookie drafts, but I understand the Jahmyr Gibbs pick
Sure.
at 1-5. Um, I'm I don't always like taking first round tight ends, but
Yep.
I feel that the players that pick those guys also had other first round picks, so I don't feel as bad
Yeah. Yep.
for them doing that because they had other chances at other players, and really the hit rate at those positions are lower than in the beginning of the draft.
Right.
Um,
Right.
yeah, so I think I wouldn't call this egregious, but having Zach Charbonnet at
At 12.
112,
Yeah,
yeah,
he's
yeah,
the he's the hardest one to value right now, right?
yes, he is extremely hard to value, and
I was gonna say
I've
I've seen him. So I've gone through 4 rookie drafts now. I've seen him go at 110. I've seen him go at 2-4. So
right,
it's there is a wide range on Charbonnet right now.
yeah,
It's all about what you believe. Now, one thing for me that I was a little surprising was people were actually reasonable about Devin Achane with the Miami Dolphins running back.
yeah,
I've seen him going as high as 1.9 in a league. It's crazy
that's
how high
nuts.
people are
That
taking
is
him.
nuts.
He's not even a top 3 running back in this class, in my opinion. But all right, I got to get it out of the way, man. I got to get it out of the way. Bryce Young at
Go
3
ahead.
seems like
I
a bad
know.
pick. It seems like a bad pick. You know,
That's fair.
you could
Like,
have had Stroud.
I get it for you, but I also I think people he's gonna have a long leash.
I
He's
get
gonna
it, but
be
what's
there.
the
He's
upside? That's the problem. And this is,
I
and I
think
don't want to beat a dead horse here, but it's just at 1-3, he has to be so good, At least CJ Stroud has upside, right? Like if
right.
CJ Stroud's gone and Anthony Richardson's gone and you take Bryce Young at that point because you need a quarterback, I get it at that point. But people are actively taking Bryce Young over CJ Stroud. And it's like, why? I don't understand why. You get no
Right.
upside. He has to be a Hall of Fame quarterback in year 1 for you to have any fantasy value whatsoever. And I'm not buying into that ticket. I'm not getting on that ride, right? Give me CJ Stroud over Bryce Young every single day of the week. I can understand Anthony Richardson. I'd probably take Richardson first, but I could make the argument
Yeah.
for Stroud first, right? But Bryce Young going first, man, I don't get it. I don't understand it for fantasy
Right.
for fantasy purposes.
I will say that like, I haven't had as many rookie drafts as Calvin. I'm not in as many leagues as he is, but,
Hmm.
in the one league that I'm drafting in right now, like, Bryce Young went 1-2.
Really?
Yes.
Did Bijan go
Yes.
1?
Yes.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
it was Bijan, Bryce,
See,
Anthony Richardson, and then Stroud. So,
drafting for
you
floor
know
that high just scares me. Like it's just you have a premium pick, get a premium player.
I know. And that person may think they got a premium player, but, I'm
Yeah.
not as low as you are, but I'm not as high of I mean, I understand all the intellect is there for Bryce Young, but
Mhm.
I don't know. I think the
Yeah,
jury's still
I,
out.
I I agree, but I think it is crazy to be taking him over Stroud. That's my only bugaboo. Like
Yeah,
I get it if you want to
I
take him top
definitely agree.
4. I understand. Like I'm not completely opposed to that, but for the safety factor, but taking him 3 or even 2 is just that's too much for me. So, all right. Any other thoughts here on the first round, or jumping in the second?
Um, I would say not really. I think with the ro I think with the receivers, I think they're I think you could switch, Quentin Johnston and Addison.
Yeah. Yep.
You know,
Good.
really, if you're being ticky-tacky, but
Yeah. You could even take
I kind
Addison
of
1 if you really wanted
right,
to, but
right, right, and I kind of feel the top three guys are pretty interchangeable. I mean,
yep.
Flowers. I really like Zay Flowers, but of the spots, he's kind of in
Oh
a
yeah.
not very pass friendly offense.
That was the auto pick. I forgot about that one.
Right, right.
He auto
So
picked that pick only. So
noise.
good times. Good
So
times.
so yeah. I mean, other than that, I think everything was pretty
Yeah,
well chalk.
yep, it was pretty much of a chalk first round. Nothing crazy, surprisingly for this league, knowing the
Yeah.
players in it. So that was pretty interesting. All right, second round, Devin Achane, Jonathan Mingo, wide receiver with the Panthers at 2. Rashee Rice at 3, wide receiver with the Kansas City Chiefs. Sam Laporta, tight end to Detroit at 4. Will Levis at 5, quarterback with the Tennessee Titans. And then Hooker right after that, who went to Detroit, quarterback. Kendre Miller at 7, running back to New Orleans. Josh Downs at 8, wide receiver to Indy. Tank Bigsby, the running back who went to Jacksonville in the third round, goes here at 9. Marvin Mims, wide receiver to Denver at 10. Roshan Johnson, the fourth round running back to Chicago, goes at 211. And then Tajay Spears caps out the second round at 12. Now, this is where things get a little bit more crazy and a little bit more
Yes.
wild. So
Weird. Yeah.
let's hear your thoughts here on the second round. And
Yeah.
what do you think?
I am not big Jonathan Mingo and I'm not big Mingo and Rice fans. I
Yeah,
mean, I get
yeah.
I get the landing spots, I get the physical, I get the physical attributes, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel you could have had, Josh Downs who has had better production, and you
Mm-hmm.
have Marvin Mims who's had
Yep.
better production.
Yep.
Um, I think I think I think I think Sam Laporta at 2.4 is almost around too high for him.
Really?
Almost.
Not in a tight end premium?
Well. I will say that in the league I'm in is also tight end premium, and
Mm-hmm.
he went like I think 302, 303.
Really?
Yes.
I've seen him going in like this. 2.4 is the highest I've seen him go. I've seen him go
Right.
2.5 to 2.8. That's kind of his range right there in tight end premium.
Right.
And that feels about right. Like I didn't think this one was egregious, I
Right.
really didn't. Given
I
who
I
the
I I mean I mean I mean, if anything, it's on the way high end for me. I mean, I
yes,
would feel
yeah,
more
yep, I will agree with that.
I would feel more comfortable, like, 2.8, 2.9 to get them,
Sure.
and even for me, that still feels a little high for
I
a
do
tight
like
end.
it though. I do like
I
him.
get it.
I like him a lot.
So
But yeah.
so so and then I thought it was really interesting that Will Levis fell that far to 205.
I know.
I was
I was
I
so
mean,
happy.
I'm not a big Will Levis guy, and neither is Calvin,
Right.
but, um, we actually took him, and it feels extremely gross.
Yep.
Feels very, very gross, but at 205,
We
with the
traded
amount of picks we had,
Yeah. We traded
yeah,
Rashad
like,
Bateman for that pick to take Will
yes,
Levis. So, you
yes,
know, love Bateman a lot, but at 2.5 to get a potentially starting quarterback,
starting quarterback,
that's crazy. Now here's the one.
it's very hard to pass up.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Now Hendon Hooker, I do think went a little high,
Yes, I agree.
personally. But the one that
Yep.
was the craziest to me, and again, Devin Achane, I've seen him going at 1.9 in a
Mhm.
couple leagues. This is kind of where he goes. It's way too high, in my opinion. He should be switched with Kendre Miller, honestly. Like Kendre
Yeah.
Miller should not be available at 2.7. If he's going to be consensus, like mid second round pick, he's going to be the steal of the drafts. Guys, everyone on Twitter, all they talk about all the time, you have to take day 2 running backs. You have to take day 2 running backs. Day 3 running backs are terrible. Well, you know who was a day 3 running back? Roshan Johnson. You know who else was? Izzy Abakanda,
Mhm.
Zach Evans, all these guys. I get it. Devin Achane went in the second round. Was that it? End of the
He
second,
went
right?
in the second round.
Right. Kendre Miller went a few picks after him in the third round. He's still a
Mhm.
day 2 running back. He's a better player. He's a prototypical size player goes to New Orleans, where they have Alvin Kamara, who's probably going to be suspended for 4 games, 3 to 4 games at the start of the season. And the fact that you're taking a sub 190 running back at 2-1, who's probably only going to get like maybe 8, 9 touches a game. He has to be the most efficient running back in fantasy football to be valuable for fantasy football. And that's just, again, this is like the Bryce Young. You're betting on outliers to hit. And that's where,
right.
Give me the outlier of the Kendre Miller, who is 215, 6 foot 215, right? Versus the 5'9", 185, right? So I just thought that was crazy. The fact that we were able to get Kendre Miller at 2.7. If he becomes consensus mid-second, man, I'd be burning picks to get him everywhere.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And for Levis, like I've seen him go, at the end of the first round,
Yeah.
and I feel that's a very good spot for him. And then for Achain, like I seen him go at 209 in a league I'm in,
Wow. People are
and
being
yeah,
responsible.
yes, and then I saw a guy say that like Achain was like, well, like for this player got Bijan, Gibbs, and Achain, and they're saying that he got the 3 best running backs in the draft, and I'm just like, I don't really think that's the case. Like I feel Achain does have a good opportunity, but he has to be extremely extremely efficient, and I don't really see that happening.
Yeah, I agree. So
So
the only other thing I was going to mention too, Marvin Mims at 10. I thought, we talked about this with the final wide
that's
receiver rankings.
fantastic.
Josh Downs, Rashee Rice, and Jonathan Mingo all went ahead of him. Again, I like him more than Zay Flowers, who went at 1.9. I'm
Hmm.
not saying to take him at 1.9, and I could be called a hypocrite. I was just telling Dale earlier that at the 1.9 in another league, in another rookie draft, I took Zay Flowers over Marvin Mims,
Hmm.
but the reason being is because I knew Zay Flowers is going to go highly. I thought there was a better chance of me being able to get Marvin Mims in the mid-second round. But at 210,
Right.
that's just too much value. Again, he was a second-round pick, handpicked by Sean Payton. I
Yeah.
like those. I like that a lot, especially if you're betting on outliers. So, Jonathan Mingo, Rashee Rice, those guys, I get it for the opportunity argument, but that's pretty much all that they have. I don't think that they have the skills and the talent to overcome some of these later guys, but yeah, I think Marvin Mims was an awesome value there. Tyjae Spears at 212, I thought was actually a little interesting as well. This guy has the
Yeah.
potential to be very good for fantasy, just possibly a ticking time bomb.
Yeah, and I feel I agree with that, and I've been seeing him go, in the beginning of the third round, and that's kind of where I feel that's a fair assessment for him.
Mm-hmm.
I think he does have good potential backing up Derrick Henry, but I think with how his knee health is,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of view him in the mindset of like Todd Gurley. Like he had a really good couple years.
Yep.
I don't really project him being a Todd Gurley by any means, but
Right. Right.
I kind of see his knee health as that,
A
and that
risk. Yeah.
it's a huge risk, and it's only in and like his career is only going to be 3 to 4 years, probably. I think he'll be lucky to get a second contract.
Yeah. Yep. I'm with you there. So,
So
all right. So third round here, Darnell Washington, tight end to Pitt, went at 3-1. Jalen Hyatt, wide receiver to the Giants at 3-2. This one was pretty interesting. I like that a
mhm.
lot. Luke Musgrave, tight end to the Green Bay Packers at 3. Izzy Abanikanda to the Jets at 4. Jaden Reed at 5, the wide receiver who went to the Packers. Cedric Tillman, wide receiver for the Browns at 6. Tank Dell, wide receiver for Houston
There
at
we go.
7. Chase Brown at 8, right? Running
Hmm.
back for Cincinnati Bengals. Brenton Strange, I think that's his first name. Brenton Strange,
Yeah.
tight end for Jacksonville at 9. Did not love this one. We'll get into that here in a minute. Michael Wilson at 10, wide receiver for the Cardinals. Stetson Bennett, quarterback for the Rams. Dale's favorite player in this draft at 11.
Mm,
Luke Schoonmaker, the tight end for Dallas at 12. So what are your thoughts on the third round here?
I thought there was a couple players that had really, really good value.
Yeah.
And, I'm not a big Jalen Hyatt guy,
Mm-hmm.
but I think at 302,
Yeah.
I would be in for that. I would be in
Yep.
for that risk.
Yeah.
I'm in for that.
And
You
there's the
know,
report too that he's trying to bulk up to 190.
yeah.
Jalen
Yep.
Hyatt, when you I know it's a joke that the Giants only have slot wide receivers over there, but
Right.
Jalen Hyatt does have size, right? He's Devonta Smith, right? He's super thin. He was like
Mhm.
175. So he's bulking up to 190. If he's 190, 5'11, like that's a good size for a wide receiver on the outside. Maybe he loses a little bit of the quickness, but he's really fast. So I like that a lot. If he can get up to 190 and still kind of play well, right? Just adding weight to add weight is not always the best thing, but he can still stay quick with it. I like that a
Mhm.
lot. So all right, who else did you like
Yeah,
in
yeah.
this round?
Um, Cedric Tillman at
Yeah.
306.
Yep.
That is a steal for him.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's really going to carve out a role for himself in this offense, and they're going to be more pass friendly. I love that.
Sure.
I also really like Chase Brown. I
Yeah.
I like him at 308. I think that's great. I In my other league that I'm drafting in, I saw him go at he went at 207.
Oh wow. Wow.
Yes.
That's crazy
And
for a fifth round
that
pick. Like
that
I
yeah,
get it,
that
but
that 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 is crazy. Like, like in that league, like he went before Devin Achane, he went before Tajay Spears,
yeah,
Tank
that's crazy.
Bigsby.
All right, that's just
Yeah,
insane.
yeah, yeah. All of those guys. I'm just like, no, like I like him, but I like him more at this range
Mm-hmm.
than
Right.
in the second. So, I excuse me. And with Stinson Bennett, I get it. I get the landing spot. I don't like the player. I think
Right.
he's going to be a car salesman before
Yeah.
long. So
It's
I'm,
possible he could be the backup
you
to
know,
Stafford though,
I know,
pretty
but
quickly.
I
But
still don't. I'm
yeah, I
not
get it.
really
I
super.
get it.
Yeah, but that's just me.
But for 311, that's not bad
Yeah,
value.
yeah.
That is not bad
It's
value
not.
in a
It's
super
not. I
flex, right?
agree.
In a
I
super
definitely
flex.
agree with that. Yes, I agree.
A couple guys here that I thought were kind of reaches in my opinion. To be honest with you, so Luke Schoonmaker and Brenton Strange, those are just bad
Yes.
picks. Like those guys are blocking tight ends. That's what they were drafted to do. So I get it. It's tight end premium, but you drafted guys that are only going to block. They're not going to get targets. So it seems like wasted picks there. I mean, you just literally set them on fire. Darnell Washington, Luke Musgrave, they did go a little high. I get it. It's the tight end premium aspect. We took Darnell. I know we had no picks
Hmm.
for basically 2 rounds almost. So that's why we kind of
Right.
took him there just to cap off our draft. But yeah, I think those two guys went a little bit high. But the one guy that did not go in the third round, we'll talk about here shortly. I was a little surprised about, but yeah, other than that, this is where it's the Wild West. The
Yes.
top 10 picks, right, are pretty much chalk. You have the 2 running backs, the 4 receivers, the 3 quarterbacks, and Kincaid. That's pretty much universally the top 10. After that, this one's a little bit weird at the beginning of the second round, but it's fairly kind of cemented
Chalk.
in. Yeah,
Yeah.
they all go at different ranges, right? Like they all go,
Yes.
you have a wide range that you can get, but it's the
Hmm.
same guys, right? They're all going
Yes.
basically in that second round up to the end of the
Yes.
second. Third is where it's just, you're
It's just
just
crazy. Yeah. Yeah.
it's
It's
just
hard.
chaos.
It's
It's
hard.
whoever you want to take at that point. So that's where it's fun. I think that's where you can get the most value. But yeah, the fourth and fifth round, if you have fourth and fifth rounds, I recommend only having 4. I think fifth round for rookie drafts is kind of pointless, to be honest with you.
Pointless. Yeah. I agree.
90% of these guys aren't even going to make the team. So whatever. But Real quick, we'll go through the fourth round here. Kayshon Boutte, wide receiver to New England at 4-1. Zach Evans, the running back to the Rams at 4-2. And this is the guy I was shocked did not go in the third round. I've seen him go in like 3-4 in most of my leagues so far.
Oh my gosh.
Eric Gray, running back to the Giants at 3. Deuce Vaughn, running back to Dallas at 4. Xavier Hutchinson, my prince at 5, wide receiver to Houston. Eric Hall, the running back to Indy at 6. Tucker Kraft, the other tight end that Green Bay drafted at 7. Tyler Scott, the wide receiver for Chicago at 8. Jake Haener, the quarterback for New Orleans at 9. Devin McBride?
Dwayne
McBride. Sorry, yep. I don't want to click the names. It'll mess up the draft board. So, Dwayne McBride, running back from Minnesota at 10. Cameron Latu, tight end to San Francisco at 11. This one's kind of an interesting pick. And then Sean Tucker, the undrafted superstar for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 12. All right, what are your thoughts here on the fourth round?
I would say it's pretty well what I expected. I really was surprised about Zach Evans.
Yeah.
We aren't big Zach Evans guys, but I think, excuse me, I think with his landing spot, that's going to be interesting, and I'm not sure how Sean McVay feels about Cam Akers, which is always ever changing. So, I'm surprised he went 4-2. I mean, I could see him going where around like Chase Brown went, for instance, at like 3-8. I think that would be more appropriate, like mid-third for him. Other than that, like I would think like Dwayne McBride is undervalued. If they end up trading, cutting, whatever they're going to do with Dalvin Cook.
Well, let me hear more on this.
Well, I haven't heard anything more, but I think Dwayne McBride would have more of a role if Dalvin Cook wasn't on the team.
They still have Madison, right?
Yeah, yes.
So I think Madison,
they have Madison. Yeah, but I can see it being more of a split role compared to Dalvin Cook being the lead. Yeah, is kind of what I see.
The guy that I'm a little interested in here is Eric Gray, the running back for the Giants. I mean, there's the report today that came out that the Giants and Saquon are not progressing towards a contract at all. There's been no progress made. And if Saquon decides to Le'Veon Bell this and sit out this season, Eric Gray could be in line for a lot of touches very, very quickly. So
definitely,
that's a little bit of a steal. The one guy I thought was a little bit of a reach, though, was Eric Hall to the Indianapolis Colts running back. I mean, I just don't see the upside there.
I don't really see a path to him being relevant.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's not even going to be the backup to Jonathan Taylor, right? So, yeah, I'm not that thrilled. Xavier Hutchinson going at 5 above Tyler Scott was a little bit interesting to me. I love Xavier Hutchinson. Don't get me wrong, but Tyler Scott was a 4th rounder. Again, 4th rounders can never hit, but Xavier Hutchinson was a 6th rounder. So what do you say about those guys?
Right.
A little bit of draft capital was played into this, for the most part. Kayshon Boutte, Xavier Hutchinson, both 6th round picks went ahead of Tyler Scott. A little silly to me personally, but it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, I think Deuce Vaughn's interesting.
Yeah,
he can be. Yeah, he's interesting. Like in the other league I'm in, I think he was drafted at 306.
Who was? Your other league.
Vaughn.
I gotcha.
Yeah, Vaughn was. So which I feel that's way early for Deuce Vaughn.
Every time I watch him on the field now, I'm just gonna think of the Willy Wonka song.
Oh, stop! Stop.
Yes, let's go.
No, I understand it though. But
all right, then quickly we'll jump into the 5th round here, and then we'll kind of break it down team by team here. So Chandler Jones, the wide receiver. Charlie?
It's Charlie Jones. It's
Charlie Jones. Sorry guys. I don't have the first names. It's just the letter. So I'm trying to remember these guys. Dorian Thompson Robinson, quarterback to Cleveland.
DTR, my guy.
Yeah, DTR at 5'2". A.T. Perry, wide receiver to New Orleans at 5'3". Jay,
Jar-
who is it?
Jaron Hall.
Jaron Hall.
Jaron
There we
Hall.
go.
Yep.
There we go. Quarterback to Minnesota at 4. Puka Nauka. I don't know how to say his first
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
I'm very bad at it. 5'5", wide receiver to the Rams. Clayton Tune, quarterback to Arizona at 6. Who's number 7 here? Do you know?
It's Tyon Evans.
Tyon Evans. Don't even know who that
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah. He he was undrafted. He was
Okay.
to the Rams, and then
Okay.
we got and then
Parker
we got Parker
Washington. Yeah,
Washington. Yep.
wide receiver to Jax. Um, yeah, I don't know most of these guys that they knew.
Davis Allen.
Davis
Davis Allen.
Allen.
He was taken in the 5th round by
Okay.
by the Rams.
Chase Rodriguez was an undrafted, right? Or no, he was a 6th-round pick.
Yes.
Running back
Yes.
to Washington.
Yep.
Trey Tucker, wide receiver to the Raiders. He was a 3rd-round pick, but he's the one that, he's like the Tank Dell. I thought he was kind of an overdraft personally, but
Right.
it is what it is. He was the wide receiver drafted in the 3rd round from Cincinnati, ahead of Tyler Scott, who was a 4th-round pick, again, wide receiver to the Bears, and Tyler Scott was the better wide receiver of the two of them, but Trey Tucker went in the 3rd
Right.
round. It's just, well, okay, whatever. And then a tight end to Seattle at the end there, Parkinson. So 5th round, a couple guys here that were interesting. DTR, A.T. Perry, Parker Washington, some of these guys, Puka Nua,
Yeah.
Nakua?
Yeah. I don't know how to say his name, and I will butcher it all the time.
Right.
But of the guys you didn't mention, I really like Clayton Tune. I think there
Yeah.
is a chance he starts this year.
So
I think there's.
can I lay out a scenario for you?
Oh, absolutely. Have at it.
All right. So here's what I was thinking. Everyone's talking about how Clayton Tune might be the starter for the Arizona Cardinals, right? If who is it? Kyler, and who's the backup? Colt McCoy. Colt McCoy has an undisclosed injury. Nobody knows what the status of him is, when he's going to be healthy, and he's 38 years old now, so he's not young. Here's the player that I wanted to throw out as a possible stopgap for this team. Carson Wentz is currently a free agent with no team.
Oh.
I mean,
I know, I get it. But
it could be fun at least. He's not going to be the long-term starter because Kyler's coming back.
he's going to get obliterated behind that offensive line.
Who cares?
He's going to get
He's going to be better
death.
He's going to be better, especially for fantasy, than Clayton Tune.
That's fair.
All I care about is for fantasy. You know that Carson Wentz
know.
is going to be a short-term starter until Kyler's healthy, and then you can boot him off. Like, it's the perfect situation for Carson Wentz. He gets to go to a team with decent weapons, a terrible offensive line, and a chance to just make a statement for 10 games before Kyler comes back. And then he gets to be the backup to him, signs a 1-year contract for him, and then next year maybe he can go fight as a bridge quarterback for somebody else. Like, I could see that happening. I do not see a world where they give the reins over to Clayton Tune in week 1.
Right.
I don't know.
I get it.
I don't know. They could, though. It's the Cardinals. Who knows?
Yeah.
They make bad decisions
it is
all the time.
definitely possible. I agree.
But a couple guys here that didn't get drafted, you mentioned them already, but Will Mallory, the tight end to the Colts, you're taking some of these other guys. I don't even know who they are, Allen and Parkinson over him. I think he's got the athletic upside, if the Colts ever decide to use one tight end as a weapon, he has some potential there. I know there's other guys, Jelani Woods and Mo Alley Cox already on the team, but neither one of them wants to establish themselves as a primary option. So, there's always that chance that Will Mallory could do it. And in the 5th round, I think I'd rather take a shot on him than some of the other guys. But then also Trey Palmer, the receiver who went to Tampa Bay, I think he was a 5th round pick, if I remember right. And, I was a little surprised that nobody took him, because I think that there's a lot of potential upside with him. Again, if they move on from Mike Evans, they trade him away to a team that needs a wide receiver. Let's imagine, for example, the Giants, they need a size guy. We're already talking
Mm-hmm.
about that with Jalen Hyatt. Let's imagine that they just go throw a second, third round pick for Mike Evans in season, right? Well, all of a sudden, Trey Palmer has a route to the field and could be relevant. He was a decent player. He wasn't terrible, right? So, again, you're kind of taking some of these other guys over him. It's just, it is what it is. But
Yeah,
I think that they're worth a shot at least.
absolutely.
So, anything else on this fifth round?
I don't think so. I mean, I kind of feel after about midway third round, all these guys are crapshoots.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Especially
know, you
after the
know,
fourth, like, oh, it gets
yeah,
rough.
especially, yeah. It's just guesses, and you're probably going to cut these guys anyway.
Yep. So that's why I really suggest cutting out fifth rounds of your rookie drafts. But, it is what it is. So, all right, team by team here, we're going to just go through and kind of see how the holistic draft strategy for some of these guys
Mhm.
held up. It's going to vary league by league. Obviously, you're not going to have the exact same picks, but, just kind of how you would attack the first round if you have multiple picks, for example. So, pick number 1, I loved his draft up until the second round. After that, it kind of fell apart. Took Bijan
Yeah.
at number 1. He got lucky. We talked about it earlier. Got C.J. Stroud at 4 over Bryce Young. Dalton,
And for him, like, he did trade up for that pick.
yeah, he did. He did. Yep.
So like that was a big thing for him. Like he traded some of his future for Stroud, so he's
Right.
he's 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 trying to bet on him a little bit.
Right. Yep. And I love it personally.
Yeah, I do too.
He got Dalton Kincaid at 10,
Mhm.
Jonathan Mingo, and this is where it started to fall apart. Again, we
Yeah,
talked about it earlier. Could have had Marvin Mims, could have had Josh Downs, Jalen Hyatt,
he could
any
have
of
had
these guys.
a lot of other people, and he chose
Right.
Jonathan Mingo. Yeah.
Right. I get the opportunity, but yeah,
Hmm.
I'm not in love with it personally.
Yeah. Yep. Nope.
Um,
I agree.
in round 3, 9, he took Brenton Strange again. You kind of wasted that pick completely, so didn't love that. And I get it; it's a crapshoot in the third round, but it's kind of a completely wasted pick. Took an upside on Kayshon Boutte. I do think he wrapped it up pretty well, and then Jones, the receiver for Cincinnati, at 5-1. So capped off the draft with a couple upside guys. So I like that, but yeah, Jonathan Mingo and Brenton Strange, I think were not the best picks, best use of those picks, for example. But you got to love that first round. He couldn't have done much better on that first round.
Yeah. Oh no, I definitely agree with that. Like having Bijan, Stroud, Kincaid, like those are guys that could be your cornerstones for many years.
Yeah,
Many.
yep, definitely.
Yeah.
All right, so team number 2 here, a lot of picks in this draft. This team was in full rebuild, so
Full rebuild.
we
Yeah.
get to analyze a little bit how they were able to do with this draft. And again, there were some trades and everything like that. So
Hmm.
Anthony Richardson at 2, JSN,
Like
Jackson
it.
Smith and Jigba at 6, Michael Mayer at 11. Love the first round again
Yes.
for a full
Again. Yes.
rebuild.
Yep.
Devin Achane at 2-1. Don't love that. Sam
I I
Laporta.
I I I I I don't mind it. I don't mind Achain going at 2. I don't
Here,
mind. Like,
okay. Well,
I
let
mean, it is a little high, but I don't mind it
let me
at that point.
let me finish recapping, and then we'll come back
Absolutely.
to Achane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sam
Yeah.
Laporta at 4. I
Yeah.
don't hate that. Josh Downs at 8. Love the value there. Roshan Johnson at 11. Cedric Tillman at 3-6. Tank Dell at 3-7. Michael Wilson at 3-10. Stetson Bennett at 3-11. I love the way he attacked the third round. I really love the way he went after the third round.
Hmm.
Dwayne McBride at 4-10. You like the upside there. And then
Yep.
DTR at 5-2. So,
Love it.
used his
Yep.
late round picks very well, in my opinion. Extremely
Hmm.
well. Now, here's the thing
Agreed.
with Devin Achane, and I talked about it already a little bit with Kendre Miller. Why are you taking Devin Achane over Kendre Miller? Devin Achane is a small guy. At best, he's going to have a shorter career in the NFL, right? Like,
Right.
there's always the chance that he's the outlier of outliers, like Austin Eckler, who's just a very, very small individual who avoids all injuries forever. But when you're that small, running up against that big of players, it's a risk, right? So if you're going to take a 4 or 5 pick, you're going to take a 4 or 5 pick. You're not going to take a 3 or 4 pick. You're going to take a 4 or 5 pick. So if you're going to take a long-term approach, which is what he did in the first round, right? And then most of his other picks were all stabs at long-term value, right? I
Mhm.
just think I don't know why you would take Chain over Miller, for example. That's my
Fair.
only small critique there. It's not
Yeah.
egregious, but it just that's the one pick that didn't make sense with his whole grand strategy, right? So,
Yeah.
um, nobody's perfect, but that's just the one slight critique I had. Any other thoughts from you?
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but, I also feel that if you have that many picks, like, sometimes you just gotta take a guy that you like
Fair
and take a
enough.
guy that has that has tremendous that could have tremendous upside,
He could.
you
I
know?
get it.
He
I do
he
get
he
it.
he could, I'm not I mean, I'm a Dolphins fan, so
Right.
I'm a little biased, but, I also feel he's gonna be more of a role player than a fantasy darling.
Sure.
But, yeah.
All right, so team number 3 here, they did not have many trades. They had one extra pick in the first round, and that's about it. Had all their original picks.
Mhm.
So Bryce Young at 3, talked about it already. Thought this was a bad pick when CJ Stroud's still
Yeah.
there. Jameer Gibbs, don't hate that at 5. Rashee Rice at 2-3, didn't like that. Luke Musgraves at 3-3. It's not bad.
Yeah.
It's risky. That's the only problem there because
Yes.
if Tucker Craft is the better one, then you're kind of
Yep.
burning a pick there. Somebody had
Yep.
to take Luke Musgrave though, so I don't hate it. It's
No,
just
I don't either.
you got to be ready for the potential heartbreak there. Eric Gray, again, I talked about him a little bit. I like the upside there. A.T. Perry, I know you like the upside of him
Mhm.
as
I
well.
do, I
So
do.
kind of rounded it off well. But yeah, 1-3, 2-3. Don't love those two picks, but
Yeah, I agree.
it's
No.
not the
Yeah,
end all be all, right?
yeah, I mean, like, I don't mind the Bryce Young pick because I feel that's pretty chalk of what is going
Safe.
on.
It's
Yeah,
definitely
it
safe.
is, it is, it is. Yeah, I don't like I liked Rashee Rice coming in, but he's being way overvalued going to Kansas City. I don't
Yeah,
think he's that good of a receiver.
right. He does have
So,
Mahomes, so I wonder if he was just trying for the stack, but again, it's just yeah,
I get it, but also yeah.
right.
Yeah, but, and then with Musgrave, I wouldn't be shocked if Tucker Craft is the better
Yeah,
tight
we just
end.
don't know, right?
You're
That's
right,
the one
right,
downside.
right.
But again,
Yep,
somebody had to
yep,
draft him. I don't.
yep.
There was no chance he was probably going to make it to 4-3, but I think possibly. The question is though, who would he have gotten at 3-3 instead of Luke Musgrave,
Right.
right? That's the age old question
Yeah,
there. So not egregious again, but yeah, not a terrible one.
right.
So all right, team number 4 only had one pick in this entire
My
draft.
guy.
Chase,
And and I like this pick.
I
I like Chase Brown.
I don't
I
like it
think
for his team. He doesn't need it. Like he needs receivers
his
so
team's
bad.
his team sucks.
Yeah, it
I'll be
does.
honest.
It does.
It's pretty bad. It is pretty bad, and, I mean, there's at
Uh,
that point, there's really not a lot of receivers that you like at that
I
point.
mean, I would have taken a shot on Michael Wilson over Chase Brown personally for his team, but oh well. So
Fair.
not
Yeah.
much to say about this one. Didn't really
Nope.
love it, but
Nope.
it's the
Move
3-8. So
on.
I probably
Right,
would have
right.
just traded it for next year's like next year's
3rd or
pick, but
something.
oh
Yeah,
well.
yeah, probably, but, yeah, it is what it is.
All right, team number 4 here or number 5 only had 3 later round picks, went straight wide receivers with upside. Jaden Reed at
Mhm.
3-5, Xavier Hutchinson at 4-5, and Puka Nakua at 5-5. So, there's the upside. They're all late round. Well, except Jaden
Mhm.
Reed. He's not a late round. He's a second round pick, but
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
love him.
I don't hate what he did, l like, you're taking upside
Right.
and
Right.
yeah, 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 I mean, for having a 305, 405, and 505, that's
Yeah.
not too bad.
I would have taken Cedric Tillman over Jaden Reed, but
Yeah,
that's,
fair, yeah,
a very small
yeah,
critique there. So,
yeah,
not bad given the picks that he had.
yes.
All right, team number 6, Jordan Addison in the first round, Hendon Hooker at 2-6, Eric Hall at 4-6, and Clayton Tune at 5-6. I like Jordan Addison. That's about all I really like for this draft. Looking at the quarterbacks on this team, and I guess he needed a guy. He's got Geno, he's got Daniel Jones and Russell Wilson and Sam Howell. Like, I just don't really understand what Hendon Hooker
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Clayton Turner.
yeah, I mean, all he has is a bunch of Jags at that point,
Right. Like, I guess it's
honestly.
it could possibly be the old Superflex. I'm just going to draft all the quarterbacks and hope somebody has to trade for
Yeah,
one. But
yeah.
yeah, that doesn't usually work out the best.
He
So,
has so many quarterbacks, so many quarterbacks.
yes. Eric Hall in the 4th round. I again don't really
Yeah,
see any path to
yeah,
success there.
yeah, I don't really like that one.
So, I like Addison. There's that. So, other than that, I think it was kind of a wasted draft there. Wasted potential anyway.
Right.
All right, team number 7 only had the 3-2, 4-2, and 4-7, so later picks. I was shocked by this. I thought he was loaded with first rounds. He must have sold them all off. But
I think he did, yeah.
Jalen Hyatt at 3-2, love that. Zach Evans at 4-2, love that. Tucker
Love it.
Kraft at 4-7. So, for only having 3 later picks, nailed those picks, with
Absolutely.
the potential. Again, Zach Evans is nothing, but if Cam Akers isn't the guy, Zach Evans was very touted. He was very
Yes.
highly touted.
He's a very skilled running back, but he got beat out by Kendry Miller at TCU, and then he went to Ole Miss and couldn't score touchdowns.
Right.
So
Yep. So, but yeah, Jalen Hyatt again could be the number 1 for this team. So I love that. And then Tucker Kraft at 4-7 again, he could be the number 1 tight end there. So
absolutely.
yeah, love what he did with those picks. But yeah, you would like to see a few more higher ones. But
Yeah.
if you don't have those picks, hopefully you're selling them for elite players there. So, our team, we nailed it. Perfect draft.
Absolutely.
Draft. Actually, I loved our draft quite a bit.
I do too.
Quentin Johnson at 7, Will Levis at 2-5. So, given the picks, this is why I loved our draft, right? We had the 1-7, and then 3 late seconds. Traded Bateman for Will Levis at 2-5. And then we also had the 3-1 in there as well. So Quentin Johnston at 1-7, Will Levis at 2-5, Kendra Miller at 2-7, Tank Bigsby at 2-9. Tank Bigsby, we didn't really talk about him, but dude, I love the value of Tank Bigsby.
I think that's
so
fantastic right there.
So
yes,
much.
I agree.
Marvin Mims at 210. Love that so much. So much. And then Darnell Washington at 3-1. Again, we talked about that a little bit. We took him there. It was a little bit higher than what we could have, what we loved, but he's athletic and we had no pick until 4-8. So we took Tyler Scott there. And then Parker Washington at 5-8. So thoughts on our draft?
I thought it was fantastic. I think the second round went as well as it could have.
Yes.
And in a lot of drafts, that's what really makes or breaks you.
Yep.
In having 4 of the 12 picks in that round.
Yep.
Just trying to be strategic, trying to get good value. And I think we got really good value for the people we.
Yep. The moral of the story is second round picks this year are freaking gold, man. They are so good this year. And people are all talking about this as a bad draft class, but legitimately, we got 3 first round picks in this draft. Like, I've seen Will Levis, and I just did a rookie draft who someone took Will Levis this morning at 110. 110. We got him at 2-5. So we got a first rounder in Will Levis. Valued there or not, that's another question. But consensus wise, he will be a first round pick. Kendra Miller is my running back 3. He should be going ahead of Charbonnet, who went at 112. So, that with Quentin Johnson, like, I love that piece. Tank Bigsby was not an egregious value or anything like that. He's kind of going right there in every draft regardless. So, but I just think he's undervalued right now. I think maybe eventually consensus will catch up. He was a day 2 pick. Again, you'll love those guys. And then Marvin Mims at 210, again, going behind Mingo, Rice, and Downs. I just don't really see the downside there. And then, finishing off with Darnell Washington and 2-point tight end premium. The upside's there. The downside, the risk is also there. So I understand that. Parker Washington in Jacksonville is kind of a Debo style player. So we'll see what he can do in Jacksonville. Not a lot of opportunity, but maybe they can carve a rollout for him down there. Tyler Scott with the Bears at 4.8 as well. I like the upside there. He's more of
Hmm.
a Darnell Mooney replacement in my book,
Yep.
so we'll
Agreed.
see what he can do long term. But he's quick and he plays on the outside, so we'll see what he can
Love it.
do.
Yep.
All right, team number 9 here. Zay Flowers at 1.9. Again, this was the auto pick. He, for whatever reason, did not check his entire timer, so they forced the
What? Yeah.
pick. Um,
It
he did not love this
and
pick. He was
well,
trying to sell him. I know that.
right.
So, but it's not a bad pick. So,
No,
well,
it's not.
it's not terrible. Izzy Abanaconda at 3.4, Deuce Vaughn at 4.4, Jake Hainer at 4.9. Who you said, Jaron Hall?
Yep.
At 5.4, and then whoever the Allen guy is at 5.9.
Yep.
The last 3 picks I think are complete waste, but again, it's kind of a crapshoot at that point anyway.
It
So
is.
you're just trying to get guys. There are guys that nailed their 5th rounders, I will say, but yeah, I don't really love
That's
that.
not.
But
Yeah.
when you
Well,
only have,
I mean,
good,
yeah, but I don't mind Jaron Hall. I think he's interesting, and he's gonna back up. Well, like he's gonna be one of the backups for
sure,
Kirk Cousins.
sure.
So
All right. Any other thoughts on this one?
no, I mean, I thought it was. I mean, I think it's hilarious that he didn't check
You
anything.
know,
You
check
know,
your
like
notifications.
yes, yes, and I've been having a problem with that in some of my
Yep,
drafts where people don't check anything, and it's extremely frustrating where they don't check anything for like months on end, and
yep, yep,
you're trying to trade picks and players and all this and that, and then they might show up at the draft.
yep. I'm with you.
So
All right, Team 10 here only had 3 picks. They got Luke Schoonmaker
I
at
I, I
3.12.
don't I don't like any of them.
I don't dislike Chase Rodriguez at 5.10.
Right,
And I
right,
get taking a stab. Again, we talked about Trey Tucker. He was a 3rd-round pick. At least he has
yeah,
draft capital to him. And at 5'11", it's worth a shot. Like, you literally can't get much lower on Trey Tucker at that point. So I don't mind taking an upside swing at those last 2 guys. I do think Luke Schoonmaker at 3.12 was just a completely wasted pick, though. So,
yeah,
again, no 1st or 2nd rounder. Hopefully you're getting good players with those. We don't really know what he sold all his stuff for. So, offhand, so I'm not really going to comment on it too much. The first couple rounds were kind of controlled by us and a couple other teams. So,
yep.
the team 11 here, only 1 pick. Cameron Latu at 4.11. Decent pick,
Ugh,
I don't hate
I
it.
guess it's not bad, but
This
I
guy
mean,
was someone I was a little interested in. He's small though for a tight end. He's very, very
right,
undersized. He's kind of the hybrid player who plays defensive linebacker. I think. I think he plays a
yeah,
linebacker.
yes, he
Um,
did play linebacker.
so he's an interesting player. I don't really know if he'll be a tight end come August, but never know. So, yeah, 1 pick for this team. It is what it is. There's no, again, you're taking an upside shot there, so don't hate it. And then team 12, the champs from last year, Zach Charbonnet at 12, Tajay Spears at 2.12, Sean Tucker at 4.12. They went hard after running backs.
Hard running back.
Evans to the Rams at 5.7, and then the Parkinson tight end at 5.12. I like the first 2 picks. I like Sean
Hmm.
Tucker at 4.12. I don't hate the
I think
upside.
he's interesting.
He's
Yeah.
undrafted, so you just have to understand he's probably never going to do anything.
Right.
But it's worth an upside pick. So
Hmm.
I do think you probably should prioritize more than just 4 running backs, though. Personally,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
Because
that's
it's.
kind of bad strategy. But
I mean, yeah. No, I don't disagree with that. And I've always been a big person on getting as many wide receivers as I could
right.
in rookie drafts.
Especially
I
later, right? Because they're more.
yes,
It's all a
they are
crapshoot at
more
that
likely to
point.
hit.
But
Yeah.
yeah, they do have the statistical advantage of hitting more likely than the running backs later. So, yeah, I just first 2 nailed it, but again, you're just taking upside shots at the end there. Who cares, I guess. But
Yeah.
yeah, it is what it is. So, all in all, pretty interesting draft. Again, first round, pretty chalk for the most part. Second round, things got to a little bit more chaotic. Third round was just off the rails, and from there, it never got back on. So, final thoughts on the draft?
I thought it went very, very good for us, and I hope other people think so too. And if they
Yeah.
don't, I really want us to tell us where we did wrong.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
am
Definitely.
excited to hear all about it.
Definitely. Hit us up in the comments if you
Yep.
are listening and let us know your thoughts on our draft. I will say I like number 2 and number 1, team number 1 and team number 2 for the most
Yeah.
part. Team number
Yeah.
2, they're in full rebuild.
They
They have
had
like
they
no.
had so
Yeah,
many
the
good
one problem with this draft for this team, they have no running backs. So their only running backs are for the entire team pretty much are Roshan Johnson and Devin Achane. So they already had decent wide receivers before, and you're adding JSN, you're adding Josh Downs, you're adding Tillman, Michael Wilson. Like, I do think that they went a little hard on the wide receiver position,
Yeah,
given everything, but I get it. But yeah, that's the one downside. You do need running backs to win
you
eventually.
do.
So
You do.
maybe he's kind of going long term with this, which I don't hate, but yeah, he's got decent quarterbacks now. He traded for Watson. I do remember that in the actual draft. So he's got Richardson and
Yeah.
Watson, but yeah, the running backs are going to be a little bit of a problem, and he did not prioritize those at all when he could have. But other than that, not too bad of a draft.
Yeah.
So, all right, that said, thank you guys again. Like Dale said, let us know down in the comments below what your thought is on our draft, how we did. Again, given our picks at the middle and end of the first and second round, thought we nailed it pretty well. But if you have a different opinion, you can tell us down below. Follow us on Twitter at TDC_Calvin or at Dynasty_Dale. And until next time, thank you guys so much for listening and have a good night.